What's going on, fam, and welcome back. Today, I want to talk to you about the best ways to work with a child who is struggling with a delay or disability, anything where they are struggling to learn a new skill, a new behavior, new procedure, new practice, whatever it is. These are some surefire ways to help you and your kid get through it. So, number one, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you have the time and the energy to dedicate to whatever new skill you are building, particularly if it's one that is especially difficult for your child to grasp. So you need to develop something of a plan. You need to identify when is the best time, what are the best settings, what's the best area. If your kid is better able to concentrate in the living room as opposed to the kitchen, as opposed to their bedroom. You want to know when, where. If you know, most kids are emotionally and mentally shot by like 5 in the afternoon. If you think you're going to get your kid to go the extra mile after they've been in school all day, after they've come home and done homework, and you think you're going to push them to do more than they want to do at that point, you already lost the battle. So you want to identify when is the best time. Maybe after they've had some wind down time, maybe after they've had a snack. When's the best time for you, right? Maybe you're somebody who needs to wind down. So you need to identify the best time, place, setting. Most kids need a more distraction-free area. So if there's TV on, if there's music playing, some kids do better with music. You want to formulate a plan where you are factoring in the best time, the best place, the best setting, the best area. You might have to create an area, but you have to prepare. Number two, we want to set feasible goals, okay? What is the most likely timeline? What's the most likely result? You should know your kid well enough to have a general understanding of how they learn, how long it takes them to learn, what motivates them, what turns them off, what shuts them down. What is a realistic goal? If your kid is reading at a level C in September, it is not a realistic goal that they're going to be reading at a level K by January. You have to plan for even more time. A good time period to measure progress and really determine whether something is working is at least 4 weeks, up to 6, up to 8 weeks. 8 weeks is probably the longest you should go implementing any type of new skill or structure, and you're either not seeing any progress or you're not seeing enough progress to where you can say, this isn't really working. But if you're seeing progress within 4, 5, 6 weeks, it works, stick with it. One of the things that families I work with, both in and out of school, they struggle with the most is their persistence. And I see it from the parent end. So if the parent is not persistent, you're not going to be able to teach your kid persistence. So you have to be prepared for the setbacks. You have to be prepared for the resistance, for them to fight you on it. And so you have to set goals where you are allowing for some of those complications to happen. And that actually leads me into number 3. We want to build stamina. So if you don't have stamina, it's also very difficult for you to be persistent. Persistence builds stamina, and then stamina builds persistence, right? So they kind of go hand in hand. So a great way to build stamina is to, again, identify your child's learning style. Recognize when they are either fatigued, like they just kind of get burned out. Kids get burned out too. So identify when they're a little burned out, when they're a little fatigued. Identify when they are most likely to shut down. And what you want to do is you want to give them the confidence that if they need a break, if they need a quick escape from the struggle, that they can have that. So a great way to do that is to build in breaks. Here's how it would work. Let's say your child struggles with math, and let's say you can get them to sit and try to work at it for, let's say, 10 minutes, but around the 10th minute they start to shut down, they start to resist, and it starts to become a battle. If you recognize that this happens regularly, what you want to do is you want to cut them off before the fatigue sets in. So if their cutoff time is 10 minutes, you want to cut them off at about 8 minutes. and you want to give them a break. 1 minute, 2 minute break. I do usually suggest that these breaks should not consist of anything that is going to be too engaging, because you want them to come back to the task, right? We're not going to set them up on YouTube, have them make dinner, right, and have like a full meal. You want something real quick where they can go and they can come right back, but it interrupts that process where they get fatigued and burned out, and then they become resistant and they shut down. Different kids respond to different things. Some kids need total silence. Other kids need a little bit of music. Some kids need to stand up while they work. Other kids like to lay down, right? So you also want to do your best to try to help them find their best way working, so that they can work on that persistence. Because like the rest of us, if I'm uncomfortable and I don't want to do something, I'm looking for every exit sign available. We might have to concede certain things, right? So it's really nice if you can get them to sit at a table and assume the scholarly position. But if it's lying on the floor, kicking their legs back and forth in the air with a little bit of Rihanna playing in the background, let them live. Let them do what they need to do, because what you want them to do is stay focused and stay motivated. So that's number 3. Number 4, you want to collaborate and you want to advocate, okay? Nobody does this alone. All right. One thing I used to tell parents all the time as a school psychologist is that you are the expert on your child. So what that means is you know your kid more intimately than anybody else who meets them, because you're with them the most and you've been with them for the longest. So you know them better than anybody else. So nobody else can tell you who your kid is. However, their teachers, their therapists, their providers, they may have insight as experts in their field that you can incorporate into what you do with your kid. And on the flip side, you can go to them with things that you know works with your kid. Now, obviously, it might not look the exact same way because school and home are different, but there are some things that can be generalized across settings. So please make sure you are connecting with their teacher, in touch with their guidance counselor. Make sure you're asking questions, and please make sure you are communicating, hey, this is what works for him, this is what works for her. I do tell people a lot of the time, if you have a conversation with somebody on the phone, follow up in an email. Write a letter, write a little note just saying, hey, you know, we talked about this, and so that if they don't follow up with you, you follow up with them. Okay, but you want to collaborate and you want to advocate and make sure that everybody is on the same page as far as your kid is concerned. Don't wait till they're failing. Don't wait until they're getting evaluated. If you have a question, ask your question. Number 5, and my final point, make sure that you are incorporating their interests into their learning process. I worked with parents who have struggled with getting their kids to read more, struggled with getting their kids to, let's say, be interested in science or be interested in math and things like that. Let me tell you something. If you find something that your kid likes, use it. I once worked with a parent who wanted her child to read she wanted him to read chapter books, and she wanted him to read the kinds of books that don't have pictures in them. But he likes graphic novels and he doesn't like to read. The suggestion that I gave her was, when it's his free time, let him read the graphic novel and let him take it wherever he wants to take it in the house. If he wants to read it in bed, if he wants to read it at the kitchen table, let him do whatever he wants to do with that. If you want him to sit down and read a chapter book with no pictures, you're going to have to be prepared to sit with him and read with him. Why? Because 1, he loved his mom's attention. 2, this isn't something that he's motivated to do. So you have to create an environment where you're building his stamina and his persistence. But if there's any type of literacy that he enjoys, give him that opportunity to take it. So what it might look like is maybe he's supposed to read for 30 minutes, right? I would take maybe 5 minutes of that time, make him read through a chapter of a book that has no pictures. And then the whole rest of that time, you take your graphic novel and you go read it wherever you want. You want to have a snack with it while you read. You want to play music. Make it an enjoyable experience. Do not underestimate the power of incorporating your child's interests into their reading. If there's a TV show that's associated with it, if there's an activity, if there's a TikTok, if there's a YouTube, incorporate it. Hey, doesn't that look like, if they're creative, right? Have them draw pictures of what they're reading. Build costumes or cosplay. Cosplay is a big thing with kids these days. Make a skit, like make it something that they can be engaged in if you want to build that motivation and that persistence and that consistency. So I hope this was helpful to you guys. Feel free to drop any other suggestions that you might have in the comment section. I look forward to hearing from you guys. We always want this to be a collaborative experience, and I will see you the next time. Take care. Bye.